yeah. So my first question to you is, what aspects or thought process of marketeers and brand managers need to change in the Indian pharma in relation to the digital content, and generally how all of us can think beyond a shell, especially after the recent trends which are changing, sir.
If you understand the question in terms of what brand managers can do, if we go back traditionally what we were doing, starting from the brand plan or this thing, the very root of that has changed after, this is what I personally believe, and this is what has changed after the digital intervention.
Now, so the question, Abhishek, you mentioned is omni-channel, right? So we saw how many of the members here are using digital channel. So for all those who are using digital channel, or even if you're not using it so far, omni-channel is something that is will have to be adapted, yeah, by everyone, because that's going to stay. Because it's traditionally they were like, as we all know that visual aids or LBLs, creative LBLs were the ones which were being used to communicate with doctors. But going forward, we will have to look at all the channels where the customer is visiting and see how we can tie up the threads, tie up the messaging there.
So when it comes to misunderstandings, Abhishek, I'll talk about it from a patient perspective. One common misunderstanding that we see among a lot of pharma brand managers that we work with is that they try to sort of take the learnings of traditional marketing strategies that they use and they apply it onto digital.
Now what happens? While talking to friends or seniors or across, the problem with pharma and digital, we always say laggard and all. If I write that problem statement, the problem is the digital savvy people are not decision makers, and the decision makers are having no clue about digital. So this is a basic element, right? Over that, like information overload, there is an overload of digital platter. It's just like a 5-star hotel's morning breakfast.
So in a simple term, omni-channel means it's a customer-centric approach wherein we are giving a seamless experience across channels. And what is important here? That we have one messaging that we used to give through visual aid. But now, how can we look at the consistent messaging, the same messaging that can go across all the channels which are there? I'll come to what are the channels that can be used. But before that, just to mention that when we look at the various channels which are available today, okay, we know that the visual aid or iPad is one, but what about approved emails or email as a channel, remote calls as a channel, wherein we used to do it during COVID times, but even now there is an opportunity to do that. Then there are channels like WhatsApp, right, which I'm pretty sure many of our team members are already using. Channels like the papers which are there, the website where the doctors go to. Then there are other channels where probably the scientific educational content is available, but the meetings which are being done offline and online. So across all these channels, how can we tie up the messaging which is consistent to the brand's need is what omni-channel helps in. Now, we saw in the previous discussion, the first discussion, what was mentioned, that when we look at brand strategy, okay, it is, or when we look at a marketing campaign, it is not like a one-off campaign, okay, it has to tie up with the objective which is there for the particular brand. Now, these could be based on the leverage points. One is awareness, it could be treatment choice, the other could be brand choice, it could be diagnosis or even adherence, right? And when we look at the brands, like if we are looking at the originators, maybe as Mr. Vijendran said, they would focus on the scientific content, right? But when it comes to most of the other brands or branded generics which are there, it would come to brand choice. And when we are doing this, how can we use omni-channel so that the retention of the brand is there much better than only one channel, that is the visual aid that is getting used. So Dr. Uday Pai mentioned that, if a rep comes to me and I ask for a scientific information, and usually the answer is, I'll get back to you, right? But at that point in time, if we are able to, as marketeers, we are able to equip the team members to give that particular scientific data, maybe just push, they are in a position to push a mail to the doctor with the requisite information. Wouldn't that be fantastic, right? So it is topical. Whatever the doctor wants, what is the need of the doctor, you are able to fulfill it. And this gives the credibility which is required for that particular brand and also for the company. So Abhishek, at the end of it, what I would like to say is omni-channel is here to stay. I think we'll all have to adapt to it and see how we are able to actively make it possible to put it into our brand plans and start using it. A lot of training will be required, of course, and I think which will get covered during the course of discussion. Giving information could follow this, right? Now, when it comes to the formats, the various formats, I spoke about several type of mediums where the messaging can be given. Now, in terms of formats, number one, content is king. The content has to be relevant to what the doctor is looking at, and especially in the journey, in the customer journey, what Pawan was mentioning, what kind of information are you giving? Okay, if the doctor is in a adoptive stage, okay, not use the product, what is the messaging that you would give, or what is the content that you would deliver, right? If the doctor is already using it, how can you strengthen the belief in that particular molecule, or extend the usage? Okay, expand the longevity of the brand in terms of the duration of therapy which is getting offered, especially in chronic therapies. So all that becomes important. Now, it has to be interactive. The content has to be interactive, okay? It would add more value. Now, even if you're talking about visual aid, if you're talking about iPads, more we are able to make that interactive, okay, it becomes more acceptable, or the retention is on the higher side. Now, previously I mentioned about emails that can go to the doctor, right? What about the subject line which is there? What would motivate the doctors to open the mail, right? Now, we get so many mails every day, right?
So when it comes to misunderstandings, Abhishek, I'll talk about it from a patient perspective. One common misunderstanding that we see among a lot of pharma brand managers that we work with is that they try to sort of take the learnings of traditional marketing strategies that they use and they apply it onto digital. Now, what happens in that case is, let's talk about a traditional marketing campaign, right? You'll have probably a television commercial or one or two radio jingles. So essentially, you're going to try and fit your entire campaign messaging in that one television commercial or in that one jingle, right? Digital, on the other hand, gives you the power of immense customization, which means that now, instead of having one common message and trying to fit it amongst every different type of audience that I come across, I can create 20 different audience sets, and I can customize the messaging to these 20 different audience sets. And what that does is, I am talking to that person in the language that he understands, in the tonality that he understands, and giving him the information that he's really out there to seek. I'll give you an example to help you understand this a little better. So the idea of digital is that now you can create different audience sets. You can go after them with different messaging. And the beauty of it is that you can also split your budgets according to that, which is very important. You don't want to go out and give an umbrella approach. Digital gives you that power to sort of, spend more money on guys who are likely to help you make more money.
And now, again, the same question. If I ask you, how do you differentiate between marketing and CRM? Probably in pharmaceutical landscape, word CRM has got very diffused meaning. And that's where I thought there was need, and I wrote a book. I don't know how many of you have really gone through that, but that was honest effort in terms of educating people what CRM exactly means. So what I mean to say that when we talk about the marketing, the role of marketing starts with like spreading the awareness and customer acquisitions. And thereafter, the role of CRM comes. So which means how you are retaining them and how you are enhancing the business, rather profitable business from the existing customer set. So I think it was a great discussions, right from the digital transformations to the need of training, learning, maybe about the marketing folks, and then how we can take this forward to the level where we can educate the patients. To my mind, what we have missed all across is bringing in patient centricity.